Howdy.
Howdy.
I'm Suzanne.
Hi. Howdy. Welcome, everyone. My name is Ana Sanchez. My pronouns are she, her, ella, and I'm a student worker at the LGBTQ Pride Center. And today we are starting our sexual health and wellness series in partnership with TAMU Health and Promotion, featuring Suzanne. And if you would like to introduce yourself and your pronouns and like what you do, that'd be great.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. Is it Anna or Anna?
Anna.
Okay, Anna. Thanks for having me, Anna. Like she said, my name is Suzanne. My pronouns are she, her, and I work for health promotion here on the College Station campus. And I am a health promotion specialist, and I do all kinds of different things. So, like she said, we are talking about sexual health in the next couple of weeks and obviously today, but I do some other things on campus as well, everything from stress and time management to healthy eating and other general wellness things. And yeah, so here we are.
Yeah, so today we're going to start with our first topic, and that is STDs. And so we're just going to go through a few questions, and so we'll just go right in. And the first question is just, the basics, like how are STDs spread? I think a lot of us are just actively, as clinicians. So I think this is a really important question.
Yeah, we don't think about it a whole lot. So well, before I answer that question, I do really quick want to go over the difference between STD and STI, because a lot of times we hear those terms used interchangeably, or and so it can be kind of confusing. And a lot of times people do use them interchangeably and mean the same thing. But the big difference is it just a matter of definition. So when you think about sexually transmitted infection versus sexually transmitted disease, an infection is something that could lead to a disease, but and so most STDs, sexually transmitted diseases, usually start out with an infection, but just because you have an infection doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a disease. So just like you could have an upper respiratory infection, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get pneumonia, but you could. And so it's just a different thing. So if you hear us refer to either of those throughout this time while we're here today, that's what we're talking about. So the question was, how are STDs or STIs spread? So STIs have the potential to get spread through any type of sexual contact. So it really, if genitals are involved and on one person and the other person or people involved use any other part of their body, whether it's we add in genitals and genitals or hands or mouths or anything like that, then there's the opportunity to spread STIs. It's really kind of that exchange of bodily fluid, which can happen in a number of different places. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's really important to kind of know the difference between STIs and STDs, and just kind of making sure that people don't freak out oh gosh, I have an STD. You could just have an infection.
Yeah, exactly. So, and Anna, you actually bring up a really great point too that I forgot to mention when talking about that definition, is that the other thing too is that sometimes there's a stigma with the word disease, and so we obviously don't want to have any kind of stigma around STIs, because the fact is that a lot of people have STIs, and while that is somewhat concerning, they're all treatable and a lot of them are curable. And so, just because somebody has an STI doesn't mean anything negative about them as a person. It's just, oh, I have a cough, I have the flu, I have an STI. It's fine. We're going to take care of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So great point.
Yeah, and that kind of leads to our second question, how do we know we have an STD or an STI? What are some signs and symptoms that are visible?
Yeah, so the most common symptom of STIs is actually no symptoms, because unfortunately that's just how they work. A lot of STIs don't show symptoms until a person has had it for a while already, and so then by the time they start to show symptoms, it can be causing more problems, or it can be worse or harder to treat and things like that. But if you do show symptoms, it's going to be things like unusual discharge, either out of your vagina or your penis. Now, vaginas sometimes have some discharge normally, and there is some normal discharge, but then there are times when you get some discharge that is not supposed to be there. Like if it's a different texture, smell, or it looks different, things like that. Unusual discharge is what we're looking for. Now, penises normally not going to have much discharge at all that doesn't belong there, or that you didn't intend to discharge. And so in that case, you would want to seek healthcare, a healthcare provider to check into that. And then other symptoms are going to be like painful urination, possibly, or like some like sores or lesions or growth in the genital area or anus, things like that. Rash.
Yeah, and definitely, like, you know, like it's good to know like that sometimes they don't even have symptoms. I know I've met a lot of people who like didn't really notice, and they didn't really know that they had like an STI or an STD until they got tested, you know?
Yeah, exactly, which is why testing is really important.
Yeah. So how does one prevent STIs or STDs?
So that is a great question, and prevention is going to be super, super, super key. So there's a couple of different things we can do. One of them is to use a barrier method, like a condom, a dental dam, a finger cot, when engaging in different types of sexual activity. So condoms you can actually get for free from Health Promotion. You just have to request them right now on our website. Usually we have them out and you can just grab and go, but right now we're doing, actually you can request dental dams from us too. And dental dams are just a sheet of latex that you would lay over the vulva or the anus before engaging in oral sex in those areas, to put that barrier between that area and somebody's mouth, because STIs can be transmitted during oral sex, and so we want to make sure that we're not putting each other at risk in that way. If you don't have a dental dam, you can also use a condom. So you would just like open it up, unroll it, you would snip the tip off and then cut up the one side, and then kind of unroll it, and then you've got your sheet of latex there. And then I also mentioned finger cots, which is just like one, like I have to hold my phone so I can't use my phone. But a finger cot you just put over like one finger or maybe like two. It's just like a finger from a glove that you would use if you're engaging in digital sex. And you wouldn't necessarily always need or want to use those, but if you've got like a hangnail or like a cut or something like that on your finger, you would want to make sure that you're using a finger cot to protect that. We don't want to invite some kind of infection into your finger, because we just don't want to do that. But yeah, we don't have those at Health Promotion, but you can get those from any drugstore or pharmacy. You can also just use gloves if that's a concern that you have. And then other things that you can do to prevent STIs are to I just lost my total train of thought. There are a couple of different vaccines. So you can get a vaccine against HPV and against hepatitis B. And then depending on your own health history and your sexual preferences and habits, you and your healthcare provider might consider going on PrEP, which is a medication that can help prevent HIV. And so that's another option to prevent the spread of STIs. And then other things that we can do are to get tested. So if we know our status and know whether or not we have STIs, or if our partner does, then we can make conscious decisions as to making sure we use protection. It might mean not engaging in certain types of activity if like we have an active outbreak or something like that, and taking those kind of precautionary steps. And so then that also leads to the last one, which is sometimes mutual monogamy, or mutual, if you want to invite more than one person into your sexual relationships, making sure that everybody who's participating knows everybody else that's that's participating. So that way, kind of like with COVID right now, like you might have your quarantine bubble, and the same can be said. We want to know who else we're inviting into this, and that way, if someone does get tested for an STI and realize they have one, they can let their partners know, and that way everybody can get treated and get tested as they need to be. But that's an option. And then, of course, abstinence. You're not going to get an STI if you're not doing anything. But there are plenty of things that we can do to still to have sexual relationships if that's what we're wanting to have and still be safe.
Oh, okay. I did want to add, and which is kind of safe, or I would say pretty safe. It's just like self pleasure, which is like masturbation. I think that's one of the safest things.
Yes, and actually, there's some different schools of thought right now, like with COVID and everything, that solo play is the safest form of sexual activity right now because you can't breathe on anybody else if it's just you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I guess that kind of leads to our next question, which is like, oh, okay, like what do you do if you think you have like an STI or an STD? Because a lot of times, like a lot of times there's like shame around like, oh, should I ask like a friend? Like what, I don't know, really know what to do. So
yeah, so if you think you have an STI, one of the best things to do is to see your doctor or a healthcare provider, or go get tested. There are a lot of testing resources where you don't have to have like a doctor's like order to go to the lab and get tested. And so you can go get tested. But if you're not sure, or especially if you're experiencing symptoms of an STI, then you would definitely want to get checked out by a doctor, because so some STIs have, if they are showing symptoms, some of those symptoms can be similar to some common kind of things that are going on, like a UTI, urinary tract infection, or yeast infections can sometimes have similar symptoms and feel similar to some of the things that you might feel if you have an STI. But you're not going to know that for sure yourself. And so that's why if you are having symptoms, going to see a healthcare provider is going to be key. That way they can make sure to do any tests that need to get done and confirm that, you either have a UTI or you have an STI and you get the right treatment for it. But that's, if you think you have one, that's a great place to start, going to the doctor, getting tested.
yeah, and I mean that kind of leads to our last question, which is what are some like resources or clinics available to students on or off campus that that are accessible to them?
Yeah, of course. So I did mention that you can request condoms for free from Health Promotion, and we have a form on our website, so it is completely confidential. You do have to put your name down so that you can come pick it up, but we're the only ones who see that, and we don't like write your name. It goes into a brown paper bag and you just come pick it up. It's easy peasy. And you can also make a custom request through that form as well. So the regular form is just that we call it a personal package, and you get 10 condoms and 10 individual little like lube packets with it. And but like if you wanted to request dental dams or flavored condoms or things like that, you can do that, and you can click custom package and write a little note and let us know what you need. So as far as like preventive kind of things, that's what we got going on. So another really key resource for everybody is going to be Student Health Services at Butyl. So they have, they're a full service medical clinic pretty much. So you can make an appointment with a provider there, a gynecologist or a general practitioner if you like have some of those symptoms that we were talking about, or if you just need an annual physical with a doctor, just to make sure that everything on your whole body is working right. You can get that kind of stuff taken care of. They do prescribe PrEP there, which we'll talk about in a couple weeks, is one of our topics. So I'm not going to go into super detail on PrEP, but you can get it at Butyl. Birth control and other contraceptives and all kinds of different preventive measures you can get at Butyl, including like the vaccines that I talked about. You can also get STI testing done at the Student Health Center. So we usually have free STI testing once a month during the spring and fall semesters. That looks a lot different right now because of the pandemic. they are still offering free STI testing. So I think a lot of people haven't been aware that it's going on, but they're actually doing it twice a month now. And it is by appointment only. So if you go onto shs.tamu.edu, you can find their, on their website, if you search STI testing, it'll pull it up and you can make an appointment to go on the free testing event day, which the next one is, I wrote it down, I believe October 21st. Yeah, is the next free testing day. So if you go on that day, you get tested for syphilis, gonorrhea, HIV, and chlamydia all at once for free. And it would cost a lot more if you did not go on the free day to Butyl. You can, if you want to. You can self-refer to the lab at any time to get those tests done, but they do charge a little bit of a fee. Not a crazy fee, but a little bit of one. Another option that the folks have is the Brazos County Health District does have a sexual health clinic as well. Its hours are a little bit limited. They're on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at varying times of the day, but they do offer really low cost STI testing as well. So if you can't get in to Butyl on one of the free days, Brazos County Health District has testing available for $40, and you get the all four that I already named, so HIV, syphilis, gonorrhea, and chlamydia, plus trichomoniasis, all included. And if you need treatment, they can set you up with treatment as well. And yeah, so those are some of the resources locally that I'm aware of. And if anybody knows of any more, feel free to DM us and let us know what we need to be talking about.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
You are welcome.
We are going to be talking about other topics throughout each Thursday on October, so tune in for that. But where can we find you all on social media so we can kind of like keep up?
Yeah, so you can follow Health Promotion at TAMU Health Promotion. It's all one word, and we do all kinds of different things, and we love partnering with the Pride Center to host different events and promote different things. And yeah, follow us.
Yeah.
Join us in the fun.
Yeah, for sure. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media, and I do want to just slide in to join our newsletter for those of y'all who are watching this or will watch this in the future. And that's pretty much it for today, and just tune in for next Thursday.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, and yeah, have a great night.
Yeah, likewise.
Bye.
Bye.